Now for this lesson, and for these types of rocks in particular, I'm going to introduce a couple of props. Now I'm always wary about using what I call props for painting because I think it's too easy to use props as a crutch instead of developing a good solid painting technique with a brush. Now the props we're going to use are mount card, exactly the same as we use for the temporary mount or that you frame watercolours with, 2mm mount card. We're also going to use a candle, and this is a piece cut off from one of those little circular night lights that you put underneath bowls for scented oils. So that's quite good, and it's a little bit more of a crumbly texture than a conventional candle, I find, so it's ideal for what we're going to use it for. Oh yeah, and we're going to use some salt. This is rock salt, as you can see. You can use with a grinder, or you can use fine sea salt, and there's a nice advert for Saxa. Now notice I'm not using ordinary refined table salt because these two types of salt, the rock salt and the sea salt, are somewhat coarser than table salt, and they create a better effect of what we're going to do. And in any case, they're healthier than ordinary salt, so it's better for you anyway. I bet you never thought that painting could have healthy options. Well, there we are. Think again. Right, now first we're going to look at using the mount card to help us create some nice textures with this rock outcrop. Now this one is a rock that's in a river in southwest Ireland, and you can see it's got lots of white patches. I'm not quite sure what these are, I'm not that clever, but I do know it's difficult to reserve these sort of white patches by conventional means and making them look convincing, because you're effectively painting the dark colours all around them. So we're going to use the candle to help us out with that. Now we're going to use the salt to help us create these little patches of fungus or whatever, these little pale green bits that you find all over certain types of rocks. And then finally, using the paper towel and the rigger, I'm going to show you how to create this nice marble effect. Very, very simple. What I've done here is actually cut a piece of card with 5 different length edges on, so that gives me a few options if I want to go into any nooks and crannies. You can actually do the same with a piece of credit card, and in fact some people say that's probably the best thing you can do with them. The only thing you've got to watch with something like credit card is that if you get any rough edges, then it's very easy to gouge into the paper. And you can also use a flexible one of those double-sided razor blades like the Gillette blades, which also allows you to scrape off paint very easily and move it around. But again, because it's a razor blade, if you're not used to doing this, what I suggest, at least before you start, is to use a piece of mount card, which is going to be a little bit more forgiving and softer on your paper. Right, now I've mixed a medium strength grey with the light red and the ultramarine blue again. I've actually used the raw sienna and the lemon yellow, and again a little bit of ultramarine blue. It gives me not quite too vivid a green, and I'm going to use that and drop that in when the time comes. We'll take that down like that. Now you have to be fairly quick with this because, as I say, it's going to go dry if we're not too quick on it. I'm going to use this edge here, and you can see like that. If you start pulling it off here and there, I'll tell you what I will do. I'll try and get out. Oh, that's nice. That's given a nice effect. I've taken out the paint, or some of the paint anyway, from those tree trunks. You see the way even this has put a line in there. Now what I'm going to do is just drop in some of the green paint. There's quite a broad band of green here. And again, we'll just spread that out and move that around a little bit, leaving plenty of hit and miss effects. You see the way that's created a nice hit and miss effect there, so we'll use that. Again, good fun. It's quite hard to go wrong on this. and another one like that. Now that, as I say, is far too wide, but if we use the paintbrush, if we use our piece of card, we can move that paint around, almost get rid of it altogether if you like. Right, now we've done that, again it's a matter of, don't think you've got to do everything with the piece of card. I'm now going to put in these lighter areas here with the round brush, which are actually in sunlight. Quite a different style, you can see already, to the paintings we did before. I think we bring a little bit of blue down. We can afford to bring some blue down here because this side is all very much in shadow. But what I want to do by this is I'm changing the colours now to suit myself, and just generally using this sort of hit and miss effect. Now you can see this has developed quite a different style of the way I paint, because we've kept it very loose, and it does. I tend to get, like a lot of artists, I tend to get a bit tight in my style at times, a bit too detailed. That's what you mean by tight in your style. It means a little bit too precise, too detailed. Where I'm just putting in some colours here, as I've done previously with the stones and the rocks. Remember, the light's coming from this side here, so what I'm doing is just generally tip-tapping little bits of colour just at the base of where I think some light areas might be. Now you can see I'm just adding some of that colour I've used for these crevices here, and I'm just adding that with the rigger and then blotting it out, so it gives me a hint of those dark ridges without it getting too dark and too prominent. Right, now I'll put a few washes of colour over most of those rocks, only pale colour, but it's dried back and they're still visible but not quite as prominent. You can see the way this is dried back quite nicely, and you've got all these lovely little textures where the paint has been forced into the hollows of the paper by using the squeegee effect of the mount card, but at the same time, by leaving the front faces, we've allowed the sun to come in and to give a less textured effect. And I've just not made any attempt to make anything of this silver birch tree other than to put the main trunks in like that. But the main object here is to show you that if you use that card or a razor blade or the credit card, if you're a bit careful, then you can create some nice textures and create that impression of rock faces very easily without even thinking about it. You don't have to be an expert, it almost does it for you.